Anyway, joining us right now, and she's dead, according to almost every report I've seen, and a police officer was wounded. He's in the hospital. Joining us now is our friend Charles Hurt, Washington Times columnist extraordinaire. Hey, Charles, how are you?
Good, Steve. How you doing?
All right. Where were you when all this chaos was taking place at around the Capitol?
I was actually on the road traveling, so I was about 2 hours away. But it's one of those sharp reminders that with email and internet and Twitter and all these things, you get information flies around so fast that within seconds you're getting it from all sides. And of course, as you were just pointing out, you also get all kinds of information that is kind of suspect, because at one point today we had 2 shooters. At one point today we had a woman who had a gun supposedly, and now, as you pointed out, I think CNN is now reporting that she did not have a gun, but rather, and it's not clear whether police shot before she crashed into them, or after she crashed and tried driving away.
Yeah, well, you mean as to when she got hit? Well, yeah, because the video that I've seen showed, I'm sure you've seen the latest also, shows that they have their guns drawn, I guess when she hit the barrier or whatever by the White House that ordered her to stop, and then she just pulled out. And my first question was, why didn't they shoot her then? And now we know there was a child in the car. I thought I saw on one of the early footages a cop holding a kind of looked like an African-American baby in his arms and racing away from somewhere. So maybe that was the child that they found. There were also early reports that they didn't know there was a kid in the car when they opened fire. So I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. But CNN is still not saying that the person, that the shooter is dead, or the driver is dead. But every other network is saying that the driver is dead.
Yeah, that I noticed. I noticed that CNN report too, and I don't know if they're just trying to be extra careful because of some of the mistakes they made in the recent weeks. But certainly the footage I saw of police rescuing a baby was they were actually running through the Hart Senate office building. So that means, and you can make out this sort of distinctive marble in the background. And that would suggest that certainly the baby was in a car for the entire thing. But my goodness, Steve, I mean, we've seen a lot of these horrific episodes, but I don't remember one with as many bizarre specifics as this. And it really, it'll be interesting to get to the bottom of what this was all about. And hopefully it was not just some little misunderstanding, because it's a dire price to pay for something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, again, what we do know is that it was a woman with a kid in a car, and she did crash or hit a barrier. That now you would think, unlike the motorcycle incident on the West Side Highway, where the guy felt for fear of his life and peeled out and wound up, paralyzing one of the motorcyclists and all that, a case I discussed earlier in this show. You would think that if she made a mistake, if she accidentally backed into a barrier and didn't know where she was, or what, if she sees she's surrounded by cops, you would think she'd put her hands up and do what they're saying instead of like a scene from a movie. So I hope it wasn't, like you said, a misunderstanding, but she was running from the cops.
Sure, and we're not that this just an interesting detail. I saw pictures. I think it was a Getty Images picture of the crashed car, and it was a looked to me to be a newer model, shiny black Lexus, which just, I don't know,
Well, I got information that it was a black Infiniti G37 coupe, which is no slouch.
And of course, I wouldn't know the difference between the two.
Neither would I. But Rich, our associate producer here, Rich, just emailed me that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. But either way, both of those are fairly luxury cars, and it would suggest that that it was not it was I don't know. It just sort of seems to me that it's not a less of a case of haplessness.
Yeah. Well,
in a situation like
we'll see. I mean, it could have been a stolen car. Who the heck knows? We'll find out the details.
But the kid, the child, this beautiful little girl.
I know.
My goodness, she looked like she probably was about 18 months, maybe.
Yep.
Shy of 2.
Yep.
And my goodness, what an awful thing to have been through. And if there is
if it's her mother and she's dead, it's tons of questions, and when they held the little press briefing, I don't know if you saw that, you might have still been driving or you might have heard it, but there were not many answers forthcoming at that point at all. So we'll have to wait and see. But let's turn our attention to not the lockdown that was, but the shutdown that is. Like that? That's a radio transition right there. Anyway. I had Congressman Peter King on before, and I think he made some news. I asked him if there was any chance, because I've been hearing rumblings, and he kind of confirmed, although he doesn't know of any specific backroom talks that are taking place, but he thinks more Democrats and more Republicans are now interested in a budget deal, like for a year, to take care of this where we are now, combined with the raising of the debt ceiling. And he said the only negative is that it'll keep this going on for a few more days longer or a little longer, because they're not going to stop that now, but because he thinks that they're going to wind up with a deal that encompasses both.
It's funny because it's so fun. People, yourself and myself included. We love to kick these people around for all of this kind of behavior and love to make fun of them about it. But if that is what happens, that is what is supposed to happen. That's how compromise is reached in this town, and it's how the balance of powers works. It's how the two branches come together and figure things out. And it's why, quite frankly, to listen to President Obama rule out any hint that he would negotiate with Republicans on the debt ceiling, that he would negotiate with Republicans on what appears to be a disastrous rollout of Obamacare, that he would just summarily suggest, absolutely declare that Congress has no right to take part in this discussion about the nation's finances. It shows a shocking lack of understanding of the Constitution, but also a real cavalier haughtiness that I don't think bears well with the American people in the long run, and haughtiness that I don't think bears well with the American people in the long run, and of a right that they are in charge of the purse strings. The reason the Treasury Department is built between the White House and Congress is so the president can look out, and if he wants to look at Congress, the Treasury is right there in the foreground. And so if Peter King is right, and they do begin negotiating deals that satisfy both sides to some degree, then heck, that's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely, and what I had heard, the reason I asked him that question was I had heard that Democrats in the Senate seem to favor that, and although a lot of Democrats in the House don't, they would be persuaded. So we'll see. But I want you to hear the rhetoric. I mean, it is, and these are in my view, left-wing nut jobs anyway. But listen to Stephanie Miller. First of all, yesterday we had Harry Reid saying to Dana Bash, "Why would I want to help a kid with cancer? I got 1,200 people on furlough in my home state working at an Air Force base. They got their own problems." And I know that if that was Boehner or Cruz or any Republican, that would have been it. They would have had to resign. But listen to Stephanie Miller, left-wing talk show host, talking about Republicans. This is cut 47.
I don't appreciate them holding my children hostage. I don't appreciate them holding myself hostage. Or my
May I correct you? They are not holding your children hostage. They are trying to blow your children up. There is a difference. They are suicide bombers. They are no longer hostage takers. They are no longer just regular terrorists. They are suicide bombers.
All right, they're suicide bombers. Let's go to Martin Bashir on MSNBC talking about Barack Obama, cut 48.
McKay, how long will it be before the president is accused of being an angry black man because he said he is exasperated?
Well, I won't be making that accusation.
You won't be. That's why you're on this broadcast. It's not going to be long, though.
Well, I won't be making that accusation.
You won't be. That's why you're on this broadcast. It's not going to be long, though.
Joe Madison, who I don't have time to play this cut, was on with Al Sharpton, and he said that they can't stand an intelligent, articulate black man in office. I mean, this is just so over the top, all of it.
Yeah, and I think, from our perspective, it's frustrating because we see this and we see the media ignore it, overlook it. Meanwhile, if some random Tea Party person says something that is impolitic, it gets run up the flagpole, and everybody is shocked and horrified by it, and everybody gets beat up over it. But the truth of the matter is, I increasingly believe that this kind of ridiculous rhetoric, and the ridiculous statements from people like, not random people, but people like President Obama and Harry Reid.
Yep.
These things start to pile up, and maybe it doesn't turn everybody all at once, and maybe it doesn't turn anybody in an instant. But the constant barrage of them that we hear, and we've been hearing, you and I have been hearing them for years.
Yep.
And we've been scratching our heads that something doesn't register. At some point, it gets so overwhelming that it does register, and people turn on them. And it's what happened to George Bush with Katrina. It was the little things that added up, and then finally it was one thing that just everybody was like, he doesn't get it. He's not looking out for us or whatever. And when that moment happens, given all the exhaustive promises that we've heard from President Obama and the Democrats and in the Senate, when that moment shifts, I would not want to be a Democrat in the Senate, and I wouldn't want to be President Obama.
Yep.
Because when that mood sours, man, it's going to be ugly for them.
I couldn't agree with you more. Hey, Charles, thanks for taking the time. As always, we'll speak to you next week, my friend.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care. Charles Hurt, ladies and gentlemen.